It's a long way from East Colorado to my home, to my home, to my home. And it's a long way from East Colorado where I belong.
I'm Bob, and I'd like to welcome you to shore fishing. Today we're going to do some fishing here on the shore. This is why we call this show Shore Fishing. Now here, I've got my trusty dog, Isabella. She's joining us today for shore fishing. She's going to help us if we bring anything in. And then we've got Joseph over here. He's my assistant. He's going to be helping out today as well. And one thing I'd like to remind you all, before we get started, when you're outside in nature, when you have a job like me where you're outside all day, you need to make sure that you're protecting yourself from harmful UV rays. Now this is the Equate brand sunscreen. This will protect you. We've got 50 SPF today. So what we want to do is make sure that we're all protected. So we're going to make sure that we got here, cover our face nice and good. This way we'll know that we'll be safe from the harmful UV rays. Alright, now let's have Courtney over here. Make sure she's kind of pale. She needs to make sure she got some sunscreen on. Now Courtney, if you'll notice that sunscreen is specially made so it will keep your skin nice and smooth, and it's very light. It blends in with your skin. It's not going to show up very well. It's going to come on clear, just like mine. You won't even be able to see it. We've got Karis over here. She's going to show us how to bait a worm. So that's how we're going to get started here. So Karis, you want to show everyone, this is the most essential, basic kind of fishing we're going to be starting off on this shore fishing today. And so if you could bait a worm for us, show all these novice fishermen how it's done.
Where are the worms? And I don't like touching gross things. So I use dish gloves, and I also use gloves when I take fish off the hook or when I put worms on the hook.
Now give us a nice good cast. Alright, now I'm going to be using the Bass Demoralizer 3000. Now this is a really new nice new bait from Rapala, and this will catch any bass. If there's any bass around here in the vicinity, you'll be going for this feller. Because if you look at this, it's got the action twin tail, moves back and forth real nice like this. Looks just like a real minnow swimmer, so we're going to give this one a go. Karis, you don't want to be reeling in that bobber. That kind of defeats the purpose of a bobber. You want to just cast that out there, a nice spot where you think you might see some fish, and just let it sit. Let it sit and wait.
What are we fishing for?
We're fishing for bass, we're fishing for crappie, fishing for anything we can catch.
Do you think I'd be more likely to catch something on a worm or a marshmallow?
I would suggest a worm if it were me, although you'll probably need to work on your worming skills.
I'll try it again. I'll try putting a worm on again. This time I'll try it without gloves.
I don't think that was the problem. I imagine that the problem was that you only hooked it on there one time. You need to hook that worm on there, on through the hook several times. Keep it on there nice and tight.
Does it hurt the worm?
Yes, it's probably the most excruciating thing to imagine. Imagine you have to be kind of a sadist in order to be willing to do this to a living animal.
I don't think I can do this without a glove.
It's about the flick in the wrist. Got some weedage on here. That's the problem. That's where the little fish like to hang out, though, is in the weeds.
So I'm just supposed to let this bobber sit.
Yes.
Well, I think one thing you gotta have is patience, and fish don't always bite when you want them to.
I'm not getting any bites. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah. Well, what I recommend is being patient, because we've really only been here about 10 minutes.
But what are you supposed to do when the bobber just sits?
Watch it. Hold on. You're getting it more tangled here. Watch out. Feels more like a logfish. The Crappie Mutilator 200 looks rather like an ordinary rubber lure, when in fact it has some distinct features that make it especially useful. If you notice these ridges here, these give it some extra wobble action, and this wobble action causes it to go back and forth like this. And it kind of resembles a worm, but it kind of resembles a minnow at the same time, like a minnow worm. And a minnow worm takes two of a fish's favorite foods into one, minnows and worms. So if you can imagine like two of your favorite foods, like maybe a cheeseburger and ice cream, imagine cheeseburger ice cream and how much more tempting that might be for you. Hey, if you look over there, Isabella's on point. I think she sees a fish. That's where I'm going to cast my next cast. Now, I guarantee you we'll probably come up with something. She's the best fish.
She's looking that direction.
She's the best fish spotter around these parts. Some people consider it cheating to take a fishing dog with you that can spot fish, but I mean, dog can't make a fish bite, so.
I think she got something.
She got another logfish.
Oh, it's caught on something.
And I'm about to put on in. This is a special genetically modified worm. They release hormones which make the fish think that there's another fish in the area. So it draws them in, and it is fish mating season. So this time of year, the fish are especially interested in finding another fish, preferably of their own species, but not always necessarily. I think it's bluegill hormones that it releases out of its pores. So we're going to give that a shot and see how it goes. We're trying this new spot here. Looks like the water gets deep down a little bit further. The water was kind of shallow over there. It's warm weather today. That means the water heats up to an uncomfortable temperature for the fish. They like to stay cool during the day. So we're going to try some of this deeper water here and see if that helps our luck. Notice how he's wiggling around in pain. This is probably the worst agony that you can ever imagine experiencing. Imagine having a large, sharp object with a hook on the end and a barb to hold it in place, stuck through your body multiple times, skewered inside of you. Looks like you're getting a little bit more sun there. I think you might want to make sure that you're keeping yourself safe. There you go. Now you should be good.
She's a fishing dog.
Well, dadgummit, looks like we didn't catch any fish today. See, this worm's still hanging out here on this hook. We lost a couple of them today. It might have been taken away by some little fish, but I suspect they may have been weed fish or logfish. So there must just not be any fish in this lake, because these lures and these worms that we're working with today our high-tech fishing gear. We're talking top of the line. So I really have no other reason why we didn't catch anything other than this lake must just be fished all out.